All right. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. My name is Yadon Yasharal. I'm with my brother Kased Yasharal. Shabbat Shalom.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. How's it going?
Oh man, all praises, man. Got a full house here. We got a lot of family here, so we're going to get into some good stuff, man. The title of our class today is Creation of Anti-Semitism through Redefining the Semite. Creation of anti-Semitism through redefining the Semite. So, the topic, if you're not really, versed on, Semitism, anti-Semitism, or Semites or Semitic, or even really understanding where you are, where you come from, it can sound like, what are they talking about? All you know is when they say, you're anti-Semite, you're against Jewish people. So once you get an understanding of what a Semite is and whether or not you're a Semite, when somebody's calling you anti-Semitic and you're a Semite, it could be confusing. But in all actuality, with the definitions that they're creating, you can, in fact, be a true or biblical Semite, but still be anti-Semitic. So in the case of Kyrie Irving, so we're going to take a look at this brother real quick of what he's going through right now. Now, we just talked about with Kanye. We understand what Kanye is going through. Now, Kyrie Irving, all he did was make a little post on his page of Hebrews to Negroes by brother Ron Dalton, that did a documentary that basically, proves who the Hebrews are and what the relation to Hebrews and Negroes is and how they're one of the same. And they went to a press conference on him and they went at him. They attacked him. They called him an anti-Semite and all this type of stuff. And the brother said, I cannot be an anti-Semite. And I'm going to post real quick. I'm going to share an article that he did on him, which shows his comment. All right, so we'll go ahead and share that real quick, where they're calling him anti-Semitic. All right, actually, that's not it. Bear with me one second, brothers and sisters. Let me pull this up. What they call them, anti-Semitic. Here we go. All right. So the brother made a comment about why he cannot be anti-Semitic. All right. So Kyrie Irving. Now, Kyrie Irving, he's one of the guards, one of the most popular guards in the NBA with the Nets, the Brooklyn Nets. He said, I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from. Then he turned around and said, any label you put on me, I'm able to dismiss because I study. I know the Oxford Dictionary. So why is he bringing up the Oxford Dictionary? What does the Oxford Dictionary have to do with any of this? And where he come from have to do with being anti-Semitic? So what we need to do is we got to understand we have to use the same language. If we're talking in one language to a person and they're using another language with another definition of the word, there's going to be confusion. So we have to understand in their language, what are they saying when they say anti-Semitic? So he brought up the Oxford Dictionary for a reason, because he wants you to do your own research. Look up these words. So we're going to look at what the word Semitic means according to the Oxford Dictionary. So we'll go ahead and share that. So we're going to look at a few terms, and then we're going to go in the Bible. We're going to see what the Bible has to say about Semites and what would happen to them in the latter days. All right, so we'll go and we'll share that now. There we go. All right, so in the Oxford Dictionary, if you look up the word Semitic, Semitic, Semitic. See if I blow this up a little bit. So Semitic, relating to or denoting a family of languages that include Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, and certain ancient languages such as Phoenician, Akkadian, consisting the main subgroup of the Afro-Asiatic family. So this is letting you know these are the languages of the African Asiatic family. So the part of Asia that was connected to Africa, that family. And then it says relating to peoples who speak Semitic languages, especially Hebrew and Arabic. So don't the Islamic people, aren't they Arabic? Aren't the Aramaic, aren't all those people, some of those people Muslims? So why, when they use the term anti-Semitic, they're never saying all the people that's against Semitic people of Islam or Semitic people of India or any of those places? They only say, oh, you against Jewish people. So if you're Semitic, it's denoting these families of these languages. So you would think anti-Semitic would be the opposite of that, right? Or anti-Semitism would be the opposite or being against Semitic people, right? Well, wrong. That's what common sense would tell you. But in the Oxford Dictionary, in their definitions, there's a different definition. So let's pull that up. Let me make sure this is being shared on the screen. So we're going to see what anti-Semitism is. So the word anti-Semitism, which would be against Semites or Semitics, is hostility to or prejudice against Jewish people. Well, what about the rest of the Semites? What happened to the other families, the other languages, the Akkadian, the Aramaic? What happened to all those people? Now all of a sudden being anti-Semitic is just being against the Jewish people? That's how you can call a brother who's an actual Semite anti-Semitic. Because according to their definition, if you have any hostility or prejudice against Jewish people, and how do you quantify that? It is hostility to tell a liar that you're lying. That's hostility to them. This is why they're not going to debate the facts or bring up why they're calling him an anti-Semite or what actual anti-Semitism is. They're just saying he's saying racist or prejudice marks against Jewish people and call him an anti-Semite. So in looking at those two definitions, now we need to understand what an Israelite is. So let's look at the definition of an Israelite. All of this is with Oxford Dictionary. All right, so we're going to go ahead and look at what Israelite. Now, these are all their definitions. All we are doing is using their dictionary and giving you the dictionary definitions. So now here you have Israelite. Israelite, a member of the ancient Hebrew nation, especially in the period from Exodus to the Babylonian captivity. So an Israelite is a member of the ancient Hebrew nation. So the Israelites are Semites because they're Hebrew. Hebrews are Semitic. So here you see the definition of Israelite. So we just wanted to get a few definitions using their definitions of what these words mean. And then now we can start to get into the class and see what the significance of this is. All right, so why is this an issue? Why is being called an anti-Semite an issue beyond just getting blackballed? Now we understand, we see what's happened to Kanye and Kyrie Irving has been suspended for 5 games. We're seeing Nike is suspending his contract and refusing to go ahead and put out his Kyrie Irving 8, which is one of the most popular basketball shoes from Nike. So we see the financial, but these people, when our brothers, when they're making this statement to say, hey, I know who I am and I'm going to speak up, they know that they're risking their money. They know that. So how are they getting these people to back up off of this? There's a deeper issue that they're not going to tell you on a surface level. So what we have to look at is we got to look at this executive order that Donald Trump put out. This is going to put you into some perspective, how you've seen all these, you get a rapper to back down. Rappers are the most rebellious people you can get. You getting rappers to back down. You getting people that are already millionaires, don't mind losing some money to back down. There has to be a stronger thing that's being used to back them down. So we're going to pull that up. All right, so we're going to look at this executive order that Donald Trump passed and why this is important to you, because as you as a people start to acknowledge who you are, saying, I know who I am. I know I'm an Israelite. I know I'm a real Yahudim, a real Jew. I know that. Now this can be deemed as offensive or anti-Semitic, which puts you in a new category. You need to understand what category you speaking the truth of who you are has now put you in. So this executive order issued on December 11th, 2019. So this is right after the 400 years. The authority vested in the president of the Constitution is combating the rise of anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic incidents in the United States. So right here is where it matters. Title 6 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits discrimination on base of race, color, and national origin in programs and activities receiving federal assistance. So what they have done now is they have in fact turned Judaism with this title right here, with this executive order, into a nationality. So that means if you are considered anti-Semitic, you are not attacking a religious belief. You are attacking a nationality, which now becomes a federal hate crime. So once you have a federal hate crime, that's worse than going into a grocery store just killing 50 people. But if you went into a grocery store and killed 50 people because of racism, there's a worse charge that they can put on you with hate crime, which can give you even more time, could put you in the category of a terrorist. Now, when you're in the category of a terrorist, you have different rules of rights. You don't have the same rights that a criminal has that has committed a crime. So be careful of what they're trying to do. We have to understand what they're doing with this playing field by trying to put us in the category of terrorists if you speak the truth, even when you're using the truth that they're giving you. So this is why this is important. Brother Kesset, anything you want to add?
Well, not at the moment. I think you're touching all the bases, I'd say.
Praise Yah, praise Yah. So we looked at Semitic. So you know what a Semitic is. So when somebody calls somebody an anti-Semitic, you know what a Semitic person is. So when they give you the definition of anti-Semitic being against Jewish people, then that would mean Jewish people are Semitic. So now let's look at them. All right, so we're going to look up Ashkenazi Jews. So Ashkenazi Jews are the people of the Jewish faith that are saying that Kyrie Irving and every brother that comes up and says that, hey, I'm a Jew, I know who I am, and calling them anti-Semitic. So we're going to look at their own definition of Ashkenazi Jews. And of course, we're going to get in the Bible. We're going to see what the Bible has to say. So this is Wikipedia for Ashkenazi Jews. All right, so for Ashkenazi Jews, it says Ashkenazi Jews are a Jewish diaspora population who coalesced in the Holy Roman Empire around the end of the first millennium. So these are people that left the Roman Empire around the first year after the death of Christ. Their traditional diaspora language is Yiddish, a West Germanic language with Jewish linguistic elements. So they letting you know even their language is not really Hebrew. It's Yiddish, a West Germanic language that got some Jewish linguistic elements, including the Hebrew alphabet. And this developed around the Middle Ages after they moved from Germany and France and Northern Europe and Eastern Europe. So why are these people moving from all these areas? It says for centuries, Ashkenazim in Europe used Hebrew only as a sacred language until the revival as a Hebrew as a common language in the 20th century Israel. So these Jews that are calling themselves Ashkenazi Jews or Jewish people, they telling you where they coming from. Germany, France, Northern Europe, Eastern Europe. And see, they split Europe into like Northern Europe, Eastern Europe, because they don't really want to talk about the actual places where they came from. So now let's look at Khazar, right? The Khazarians, which we all know were the people from that region, from Europe, from that European region. So we're going to see what Oxford has to say about the Khazars. All right, so here we have it. Khazar. Khazar, a member of a Turkic people who occupied a large part of southern Russia from the 6th to 11th century and who converted to Judaism in the 8th century. Interesting. So you got this group of Turkic people from Russia, southern Russia, which would be Ukraine, all that area is southern Russia, Ukraine, from the 8th to 11th century. So this is 800 to 1,100 years after the death of Christ, converting to Judaism. Interesting. So what relation does Khazar have to do with Ashkenazi Jews? Well, if you look in their definitions, you got to kind of read a little bit to figure this out. But if you go to your Bible, the Bible is going to clarify point blank who Ashkenaz is. So now we can get into that. So now that we know what Semitic is, a Semitic is the main subgroup of the Afro-Asiatic family, not the European family, Afro-Asiatic family. So against Semitic would be anti-Semitic if you're using English language. But English language has a thing called fork tongue where it doesn't have to make sense. It could just mean something else. So anti-Semitic, according to their definition, is being hostile or prejudiced against Jewish people. But the Jewish people are telling you they're Ashkenazi Jews, and the Ashkenazi Jews came from Europe. So let's see who Ashkenaz was. So that's what we're going to get into. We're going to start in Genesis chapter 10. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 10. All right, so we're going to go to Genesis chapter 10, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Okay, Genesis chapter 10 and verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, or Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood.
All right, so what we understand here, the biblical story, when the flood of Noah came, it wiped out all the people on the earth. The only surviving people in the entire earth was Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth, and their wives. Noah did not have any more children. So this entire world has been populated by those three families, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So when people try to give you the whole, well, we all came from Adam. Yeah, we all came from Adam, but guess what? The world was split into three different major blood groups and family groups. And even in genetics to this day, you can still categorize by those three categories. And you'll see it in their teeth, you'll see it in their bone structures, you'll see it in their DNA. So everybody that's in the earth today came from Shem, Ham, or Japheth. So let's see the sons of Japheth. Verse 2.
The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Yavan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphath, Togarmah, and the sons of Yavan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim.
All right, so verse 3, and the sons of Gomer. And remember, verse 2, the sons of Japheth, Gomer was the first son of Japheth. And Gomer's son, so that means Japheth's grandson, and verse 3 is Ashkenaz. But this is seed of Japheth. Japheth is Shem's brother. That's not the same line. So somebody's telling a lie here. So again, we just read Ashkenazi Jews. The Ashkenazi Jews come from Europe, and they're letting you know their father was Japheth. So they're not even Semitic, because Semitic says here, relating or denoting to a family of languages that include Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, and certain languages consisting the main group of the Afro-Asiatic family. This is not Afro-Asiatic. This is European. So the Bible in itself is showing you who Ashkenaz is. So if we scroll down a little bit, let's go down. Let's see. Go to verse 21.
All right. Genesis chapter 10 and verse 21. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born.
All right, so verse 21, unto Shem, that's where Semitic comes from. All the families that came from the bloodline of Shem are Semitic, and those are the Afro-Asiatic nations of people. Israelite is just one nation of people that are Semitic. We all Shemitics are not Israelites. So unto Shem, he's the father of the children of Eber. Eber is where you get Hebrew from. Abarim is the ancient word for Hebrew. So Eberite or Ebri is Hebrews. So Shem, the father of all the Hebrews, and we know one of the most famous Hebrews was Abraham. So Abraham is coming from the line of Eber. Abraham is not coming from the line of Japheth. Abraham is not coming from the line of Ashkenaz. So this is why Kyrie says, I cannot be anti-Semitic because I know where I'm from. Because the Semitic people are Afro-Asiatic. And that's where we come from. We are Afro-Asiatic. And then furthermore, he says, I'm not racist. I could not be using anti-Semitism. I know the Oxford Dictionary because we literally just read all the definitions in the Oxford Dictionary of all those words. So this brother is trying to tell you, go look this up in the Oxford Dictionary so that you can understand that I'm being attacked for telling the truth. So the table of the nations, Genesis chapter 10, we just read who Shem is. All right. And we just read who Eber is. And now we know Ashkenaz has absolutely nothing to do with that. So let's start to go into some more prophecy. Let's see what Christ had to say about this. And this is why they hate Christ. They hate Christ for one, he was an actual Semite. So that's the original anti-Semitism. When you hate Christ, that's one. And then for two, he called them out. He called them out. He said, I know who you are. So let's go to Revelation chapter 3. Revelation chapter 3. Revelation chapter 3. And we're going to start that at verse 7.
Okay. Verse 7. And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, these things says he that is holy, he that is true, he that has the key of David or David, he that opens and no man shuts, and shuts and no man opens. Verse 8. I know your works. Behold, I've set before you an open door, and no man can shut it. For you have a little strength, and have kept my word and have not denied my name.
All right. So I know your works. Behold, I have set before you an open door. So these are the 7 churches. We are in the church period right now. These are the 7 churches of believers, the church of Mashiach, right? And Philadelphia being the church of brotherly love, Christ, that's why it's red writing. Mashiach is saying, listen, I have set before you an open door that no man can shut. Remember, he said, behold, I stand at the door and knock. Any man that opens, I will come, I will be with him, and my Father and I will be with him. All right, it says, for you have little strength and has kept my word and has not denied my name. So these brothers right now that are celebrity representatives, because they're representing us as a people, because they're celebrities, they're on TV. They are trying to not deny Yah's name. He named us after him. So they're trying not to deny the character and the appellation. Verse 9.
Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before your feet and to know that I have loved you.
Boom. So behold, I make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Yahudim or Jewish and are not, but do lie. So this is why they hate him so much, because he's saying you are fake Jews, you are the synagogue of Satan, and you are lying. What lie could they be telling? Well, could it be the fact that they're saying they're Ashkenazi and saying that they're Semites, when we just showed you Ashkenaz is not a Semite, is not even from the line of Shem? And they're trying to deny his name by changing the definition of what a Semite is, by changing the definition of what a Jew is. How did they change that? Well, in Jewish culture, you are Jewish through your mother. How can that be when the father determines the seed? All through the Bible, from the beginning to the end of the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament, it's always been reconciling according to the house of your fathers. It's not talking about the house of your mothers. Now, does that matter? Yes, we have certain laws pertaining to who we can marry and who we can't marry. But at the end of the day, regardless of who the woman is, whoever the father is, that's the bloodline. Or else Christ himself wouldn't be an Israelite if it didn't have to do with who your father was. So he's calling them out. And this is what they're really mad about. Go to the next verse, brother.
Verse 10. Because you have kept the word of my patience, I also will keep you from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which you have, that no man take your crown. Him that overcomes will I make a pillar in the temple of my Elohim, and he shall go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my Elohim, and the name of the city of my Elohim, which is New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my Elohim, and I will write upon him my new name. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches or assemblies.
Praise Yah. So he says to the assembly, so the part that they really hate is in verse 9, I will make them to come and worship before your feet. Who is he talking to? You think that we gonna sit and fall down and worship before the feet of those people claiming to be us? They had to put us in slavery. They had to beat us with whips. But guess what? Because we have now become mental slaves. Now you're seeing all these coon brothers on TV now falling down to their feet and worshiping, selling out on their own brothers. For what? Not because they being whipped in chains, for money. But guess what? I can understand. I don't agree with it, but I can understand somebody all about their money. I don't care about all that, religious stuff and all that, spiritual stuff. That ain't me. I'm about my bread. So I can get it. You selling out for money. I get it. But what about the rest of you? Our regular brothers and sisters that walk around every day kissing their feet, and you ain't even getting paid. You're getting mistreated. You being called a nigga to your face, but you falling down, bowing to their feet. That's the opposite of what Mashiach said. But he said, to you that kept the word of my patience, for you that did not deny my name. So when you deny the truth, you are denying his character, because his word is truth. His name is truth. Verse 14.
Okay, verse 14 in Revelation chapter 3. And unto the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write, these things says the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of Elohim. I know your works, that you are neither cold nor hot. I would you were cold or hot. So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew you out of my mouth. Because you say, I am rich.
All right. So here we go. The Laodiceans, these are the last two simultaneous churches. So you part of one of these churches, one of these assemblies, because you're being gathered whether you know it or not. He's separating the sheep from the goats, period. So there's only two left, believers and non-believers. If you believe, you in a church of brotherly love. You love your brother. You know, a brother meaning your brother or sister. You love fellow man. You love your neighbor as yourself. That's the church of brotherly love, Philadelphia, right? But then if you're a church of Laodicea, you the other side. Whether you choose that or not, this is where you're being grouped into. You are neither hot nor cold. I can't use you. I need hot water to do things hot. I need cold water to do things cold. I can make lukewarm from anything, but I need hot or cold to do something. These are the people that think, verse 17, let's get into it. He's spewing you out of his mouth if you lukewarm. So what does lukewarm look like? This is what we have to see. Verse 17.
Because you say, I am rich.
Didn't your boy, let me stop. I don't want to call out any of our people on the other side, because I'm not going to use my platform to talk bad about my people, but I'm going to describe the crap out of them. We just had one of the largest centers to play in the NBA turn around and trash Kyrie Irving for putting up a picture of the movie Hebrews to Negroes. But yet this brother owns a large percentage of the movie theater that premiered the film. So this is how hypocritical. So you about your money, but yet you want to talk against the brother that actually put money in your pocket. These are the people that say, I am rich. And what was his comment that he just made to Kanye? Shut up, I'm richer than you. Oh, okay, that sounds a whole lot like Laodicea. Like I said, I would love to call these names out, but I'm not going to use a platform to diss my brothers. We all seen it. We know who I'm talking about. Tom Shee?
Because you say, I am rich and increased with goods and have need of nothing, and know not that you are wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked.
All right. So you think you got money, right? You think you rich. You think because you got a bunch of goods, you don't need nothing, right? But you not knowing that you are wretched, poor, miserable, blind, and naked. So that's the church of Laodicea. These are the assembly of people, of non-believers that think that they're okay because they got clothes on their back. They got money in their pocket. You can't tell them they're wrong, because in this sliver of life, whatever section or moment that's not tribulation, they good. But they're blind, not knowing they have no spiritual covering. Tom Shee?
Didn't Hamashiach say, or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul?
Right.
If he gained the whole world?
Right. You gain the whole world just to lose your soul. And that's a contract of the devil, because you already own the world. It was given to you and your people. You're God. It belongs to you. All things belong to you. You are the custodians of the whole world. But we didn't know that because we didn't know who we are. All we knew was we were slaves. So why would the devil, he tried to do the same thing to Christ when he said, hey, look, all these kingdoms are mine. Fall down and worship me, and I'll give it to you. He said, man, get up out my face. You worship nobody but Yah. Because he's not even going to talk that foolish. I created everything. How are you going to give me what I created? So the creator created everything and he gave it to us. Tom Sheep?
Real quick, just wanted to mention, again, that's one of the things to also consider is that, a lot of these people that are getting up and talking against their own people, they're in covenant and contracts with these
with the Greeks.
Jewish people.
Right.
Yeah. So that's something to consider.
That's a great point. That's an awesome point, brother. Awesome point. You cannot have two masters. You're going to serve one and hate the other. So who you think they hating? They hating their brother. They're not hating the person that's putting some money in their pocket because they feeling they rich, they covered, they good. So you will hate your own brother for some money. And that's what these Greek organizations are. If you are pledging to a Greek organization in college, guess what? I got family members that went Greek. I didn't even know Hebrews that went Greek. You made a covenant with the Greeks. And if you didn't, I challenge you to come out and tell me you did. And if you say you didn't, I'll believe you. I'll repent. But you made a covenant with the Greeks. The same thing that was done in Maccabees. The same thing. Verse 18 and verse 19 are real important for us, especially if you don't know you're a Hebrew, but you could possibly be a Hebrew. Verse 18.
I counsel you to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that you may be rich, in white raiment, that you may be clothed, and that the shame of your nakedness do not appear. And anoint your eyes with eye salve, that you may see.
All right, verse 19. This is how you know you are the children of Israel, you and your people.
As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous, therefore, and repent.
As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Who in this world is getting rebuked and chastened? A brother can't even get on TV and say, I'm an Israelite. I'm a Jew. That's chastisement. The Most High is allowing that to happen to us because we rejected who we were as Israelites so we could be like the nations. And why would we do that? Because the nations were so cool? No, for money. Because we wanted money. So to get their money, we had to dress like them. We had to talk like them. We had to act like them. So we wanted to be the chosen people, but we wanted the money that came with the other nations, which means we had to act like them a little bit. To the point where y'all said, oh, you want to act like them? Okay, well, guess what? You're going to beat them, and I'm going to take away everything. And then when the people saw us being stripped of our nationality, they said, well, you mean being chosen is up for grabs? Awesome. Let me go take it. I'm now the Jew. Finish that up.
Okay, Revelation chapter 3.
Matter of fact, you can stop right there. That's what I wanted to see. Right there. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. So this is why these things happen in our lives. We can't live like everybody else. As soon as we get over one problem, the next problem comes. Why? Because we trying to live like everybody else. And if we read this Bible, it's nothing but thousands and thousands of years of our people doing the same thing, trying to do what everybody else, looking around, say everybody else doing it, why they prospering? But when we do it, we get into business. Now we try to revert back to the way we used to do things. Now we have to fight to do that because it was given to us before. Now you got to fight to assert who you are. And that's why any brother or sister that fights to assert who they are, I'm going to stand next to you in that truth. Now, if you say the sky is pink with a rainbow and a flower coming out the middle of it, then I can't agree with that. I'm sorry. But if you're telling me the truth, I'm going to stand with you. So let's move on. Let's go to Psalms 83. So they did not like that. This synagogue of Satan did not like us claiming who we are. So we're going to go to Psalms 83. We're going to see that this is something that they came together. How else could all these organizations all of a sudden just punishing and chastising people that are just merely claiming, I know who I am? These people aren't even bold as we are. The Israelites, we out here telling, no, you fake. We're not, you ain't even real. We calling everything out. These brothers ain't even going that far. These brothers are literally just saying, I'm a Jew. I know who I am. And they're attacking these brothers. This was put together. This is not new. This is a system, a literal system that has been put in place. Psalms 83, Tehillim chapter 83, we're going to read verses 1 through 8.
Okay, verse 1. A song or psalm of Asaph. Keep not you silence, O Elohim. Hold not your peace, and be not still, O Elohim. For lo, your enemies make a tumult, and they that hate you have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against your people, and consulted against your hidden ones.
Wait a minute. So the enemies, who are these? The enemies of Israel? No, these are the enemies of YAH. These people hate God. They have lifted up their head and they have taken crafty counsel. That means they're consulting with one another. They're counseling. How can we stop these children of Israel? And what are they trying to stop? And it says, consulted against your hidden ones. Who are the hidden ones? Hidden ones are the children of Israel. 10 tribes disappeared in the Assyrian captivity. All was left was the 3 tribes, with Levi leaving the northern kingdom and eventually coming down to the southern kingdom. Those are the hidden ones. And then the southern kingdom got sacked, which we're going to read about that as well. And we became scattered. That's the hidden ones. So these people that bought us in slavery, you think they don't know what they bought? They know exactly what they bought. So what are they consulting about? Verse 4. Let's see what they're consulting about.
Verse 4. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yasharal or Israel may be no more in remembrance.
So this is what they're consulting about. Let's cut them off from being a nation. So when you were cut off from being a nation is when you were no longer Yasharal or Yasharala. You now became a color, black. What other nation is their people as a color? Every other nation got a nation. The Vietnamese. Now we might call people, that yellow person or this, brown person. But at the end of the day, they have a nation. We the only people in the world that don't have a nation. And they said, so that the name, the character of the upright with God may be no more in remembrance. The name of Yasharal, the Shem, H8034. Let's look at that. So you see Shem is deeper than just an appellation. They want this name to be in remembrance no more. Shem, 8034, through the idea of definite and conspicuous position and appellation as a mark or memorial of individuality. So this mark or memorial of our individuality of a people, they want to erase it. By implication, honor, authority, and character. So our honor, our authority as the executive, the ambassadors of the Most High, the executives of the earth, and the character, all of that, they want that cut off. So if you want to cut somebody's character off, but you either may make them change their character so that they'll no longer have that good reputation, or B, say, this character, we start defamating that character, saying that character is something that it's not. And guess what? This is what they took counsel to do. This is how they made a confederation to do this. So we would no longer, and the world would no longer remember the character of righteousness, which is Yah's laws. This is why they're changing things from a Semitic being of Afro-Asiatic to anti-Semitic being against Jewish people. What happened to the rest of the Semites? Consulting. Understand what you're up against. You're in a war, whether you know it or not. Whether you want to be active, you're in it. All right, so let's go to Acts chapter 7. Acts chapter 7. So we got to understand, why are we putting our televisions on? We put our televisions on for distraction. We try to distract ourselves from life. We call it entertainment, distraction, same thing. We call it entertainment, but we trying to be distracted. Because, we work, we do this, we do that, but they're using the distraction, the thing that you was using just to really entertain you, and they're programming you with that. So we have to deprogram. And because we don't own our networks, they shutting us down. That's why we have to own our own platforms. So here's the story of Israel. Go ahead, brother. I'm going to mean to cut you off.
I just wanted to bring up add to your point about distractions and television, and not just television, media in general. Anything that the media puts out, whether it's on YouTube or whether, understand that these things are being manipulated and curated in a certain extent to serve a certain purpose or narrative. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're rarely gonna find any source of media that's just putting out the plain truth. You know what I'm saying? That's a rare thing to see, because everyone has a different agenda. And, like you were pointing out, these people in control, it's clear what their agenda is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, one way that you can think about it, like, imagine if you're in a party or something and somebody pulls out a camera or something, the whole atmosphere is going to change. Everyone's going to act differently. So understand, with that being the case, that the things that people are putting out, you know what I'm saying, there's a certain level of manipulation and untruth that's going into it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And it's not just one group of people that own all this. They might have the most control, but other people have to agree. You think that these brothers that are also ex-athletes or ex-actors or current actors that are speaking out against Kyrie Irving and Kanye, they not Jewish. They taking our own people. You think they did that on their own? That they just decided, I'm gonna sell out? No, they had to agree. They had to go to council. They had to be confederate. So these nations are all confederate that own any part of this media, and they're all agreeing to enforce the same thing. Look at the guy that's the owner of the Nets. He ain't Jewish. This dude Asian. But he's confederate. He's confederate with them. So Acts chapter 7, and this is more of an introductory class. So, we can go into scriptures for hours proving that we the children of Israel. But I just want us to understand what this Semitism is, why it's so dangerous, so you can conduct yourself accordingly. You got to be careful how you talk, because they're putting things in place to now put you in jail for telling the truth. And nobody would know what you said. All they would have to do is say anti-Semitic. And guess what's even more powerful than anti-Semitic? Terrorist. And they got you in both categories, waiting to put that label on you if you screw up. So you have to be wise in how you speak. Remember, he said, be harmless as a dove, but be wise as a serpent. Understand their terms. Just like when you go to a court of law, you think you go into a court of law for righteousness? No, you playing in their court. You inside their court. Where do you play basketball? On a court. You playing their game. So you got to understand their rules. They're using languages that have forked tongues that say one thing but means another. That's why you got to get a lawyer to say, yeah, I know this means this in the English language, but really what it's saying is this. So Acts chapter 7. So here you're going to have one of the first anti-Semitic acts being done. And this is being done by Semitics against Semitics. You're seeing a brother who well, actually, this is anti-Semitism. This brother's not even an Israelite. I don't believe he's an Israelite. I believe he's of another nation. I'm not sure. I never really went into that study, but he's one of the first believers of the church. And they're stoning this brother for telling the truth about our nation, of who we are. And here you're going to see more clues of who the Semites are. So Acts chapter 7, and let's start this at verse 1.
Verse 1.
And this chapter right here, by the way, when you're with your family members that are coming from out of town for these folly days that's coming up, and they don't understand who the children of Israel are or their story, and there's a whole Bible to do it, you can just go to Acts chapter 7 and just read this chapter right here. It's going to catch them up to speed in one chapter.
All right, Acts chapter 7 and verse 1. Then said the high priest, are these things so? And he said, men, brethren, fathers, hearken. The Elohim of glory appeared unto our father Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia, before he dwelt in Sharon, and said unto him, get you out of your country and from your kindred, and come into the land which I shall show you. Then came he out of the land of the Chaldeans and dwelt in Sharon, and from thence, when his father was dead, he removed him into this land, wherein you now dwell.
All right, so when you see Sharon, that's Haran. That's in Babylon. So we came from Afro-Asiatic area. When you look at that, Mesopotamia, that used to be included in Africa. But that's considered Afro-Asiatic because it's the part connecting Africa and Asia. So that's where we came from as a people. Not from Russia, southern Russia, which is Ukraine, and from Italy, France, and the Greeks, and all. We didn't come from there. So he's breaking it down where we came from. Haran, we left out Haran and moved to Ur of Chaldees. Tamshi?
Verse 5. And he gave him none inheritance in it, no, not so much as to set his foot on. Yet he promised that he would give it to him for a possession, and to his seed after him, when as yet he had no child. And Elohim spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and that they should bring them into bondage, and entreat them evil 400 years.
All right, so who else did this happen to? You just heard me bring up the 400 years. It ain't a coincidence that Trump did House Resolution 1242 at the end of our 400-year marker. We got here August 20th of 1619, Port Comfort in Virginia, the first indentured servants. And 400 years from that was 2019. In that year, Trump did the House Resolution 1242, which acknowledged our 400 years here captive. Then in that same year, he makes this Judaism law, making Judaism a nationality. The pieces on the puzzle are moving. Who else has been in bondage for 400 years? When we were in Egypt for 430 years, but we weren't in bondage. You got to understand that Joseph, which we about to read about, one of our brothers, he was almost the king. He was right up under Pharaoh, so we weren't being oppressed for 400 years there. And what strange land did they sojourn to? They in Europe. When they had their Holocaust, that was where in their own land, where they come from. It don't add up. Acts 7 and 7.
And the nation to whom they shall be in bondage will I judge, said Elohim. And after that they shall come forth and serve me in this place.
All right, so this is a fact And the nation, the system to whom you shall be in bondage, will I judge. And judgment started at the end of that 400 years. That's why you had COVID hit. That shut down the entire world. It has forever changed things. And we don't even fully understand the judgment because we don't fully understand what the consequences of that stick is. But there's an order. I'm going to judge those that put us in bondage, and after we shall come forth. So after the judgment is finished, we're going to leave and serve YAH in Israel. Tamshi?
Verse 8, and he gave him the covenant of circumcision. And so Abraham begat Yishak and circumcised him the 8th day, and Yishak begat Jacob, and Jacob begat the 12 patriarchs. And the patriarchs, moved with envy, sold Joseph into Egypt, but Elohim was with him, and delivered him out of all of his afflictions, and gave him favor and wisdom in the sight of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And he made him governor over Egypt and all his house.
So Joseph was over all the house of Pharaoh. He was ruling Egypt. And if you go back and read that story, that's how Pharaoh came into power. He came into power and was more powerful than all the other people in the land because Joseph made him rich by prophesying and telling him about the drought. And when the drought came, everybody else eventually got so poor they had to sell their own selves into bondage just so they could eat. Verse 11.
Now there came a dearth over all of the land of Egypt and Canaan, and great affliction, and our fathers found no sustenance. But when Jacob heard that there was corn in Egypt, he sent out our fathers first. And at the second time Joseph was made known to his brethren, and Joseph's kindred was made known unto Pharaoh. Then sent Joseph and called his father Jacob to him, and all his kindred, 75 souls. So that's what, 85, no, 75.
60 and 75.
Yep, 75.
75.
Verse 15. So Jacob went down into Egypt and died, he and our fathers, and were carried over into Shechem, and laid in the sepulcher that Abraham bought for a sum of money of the sons of Emor, the father of Shechem. But when the time of the promise drew near, which Elohim had sworn to Abraham, the people grew and multiplied in Egypt, till another king arose, which knew not Joseph. The same dealt subtly with our kindred, and evil entreated our fathers, so that they cast out their young children, to the end that they might not live. In which time Moshe was born, or Moses, and was exceeding fair, and nourished up in his father's house 3 months. And when he was cast out, Pharaoh's daughter took him up and nourished him for her own son.
All right, so what's happening here is the same thing that's happening right now. They're killing off the black men. So in Egypt, if you go to Exodus chapter 1 and chapter 2, Pharaoh was killing off the firstborn sons. So every firstborn son that came out, they were killing them. Excuse me, not firstborns, my bad. The male sons, first, second, third, fourth, it didn't even matter. Killing off all the male sons, throwing them in the river. So now Moshe is being born, and his mother hid him in some little bushes and put him on a little thing and put him on the river. And Pharaoh's granddaughter happened to find him and wanted to raise him up as her own son. Verse 22.
And Moshe was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and was mighty in words and in deeds. And when he was full 40 years old, it came into his heart to visit his brethren, the children of Israel. And seeing one of them suffer wrong, he defended him and avenged him that was oppressed, and smote the Egyptian. For he supposed his brethren would have understood how that Elohim by his hand would deliver them, but they understood not. And the next day he showed himself unto them as they strove, and would have set them at one again, saying, Sirs, you are brethren, why do you wrong one to another? But he that did his neighbor wrong thrust him away, saying, who made you a ruler and a judge over us? Will you kill me as you did the Egyptian yesterday? Then fled Moshe at this saying, and was a stranger in the land of Midian, where he begat 2 sons. And when 40 years were expired, there appeared to him in the wilderness of Mount Sinai an angel of the Lord of Yahweh in a flame of fire in a bush. When Moshe saw it, he wondered at the sight, and as he drew near to behold it, the voice of Yahweh came unto him, saying, I am the Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, and the Elohim of Yishak, and the Elohim of Jacob. Then Moshe trembled and durst not behold. Then said Yahweh to him, put off your shoes from your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. I've seen the affliction of my people which is in Egypt, and I've heard their groaning, and am come down to deliver them. And now come, I will send you into Egypt.
All right. So the Most High heard, the cries of our affliction, of how we were being destroyed and genocide, and just, if you get into the story, what they were doing to us in Egypt, it was horrible. So Egypt representing our house of bondage. This same structure is here in America. This is the second Egypt that they talk about in Deuteronomy 28, that I will send you into Egypt again by ships. Tamshi?
Verse 35. This Moshe whom they refused, saying, who made you a ruler and a judge? The same did Elohim send to be ruler and a deliverer by the hand of the angel which appeared to him in the bush. He brought them out, after that he had showed wonders and signs in the land of Egypt, and in the Red Sea, and in the wilderness 40 years. This is that Moshe, which said unto the children of Israel, a prophet shall Yahweh your Elohim raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me, him shall you hear. Verse 38, this is he that was in the church of the wilderness with the angel which spake to him in the Mount Sinai, and with our fathers, who received lively oracles to give unto us, to whom our fathers would not obey, but thrust him from them, and in their hearts turned back again into Egypt.
It's the same thing. Now the Father has sent out servants to bring the children of Israel, shepherds, to bring them back unto Israel, the people, and then eventually the land. But instead, we yelling at them people, attacking those same people. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And turning back to Egypt, going back to the ways of confusion that we learned here. And this ain't just regular people, this Hebrews. Verse 40.
Saying unto Aaron, make us gods to go before us. For as this Moshe, which brought us out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him.
So we follow the Most High when he does the miracles in our life. But then 15 minutes later, if the servant ain't showed up again to do another miracle, we ready to go right back to what we did. That's human nature. So we say these things and we look at these things so that we can acknowledge the nature of man, so that we can be intentional about what we do. If you're not intentional, it's going to do this. It's going to go exactly with the flesh, exactly what our forefathers did. But if you be intentional, you may have a chance of doing the opposite of that, of actually doing the right thing.
Verse 41. And they made a calf in those days and offered sacrifice unto the idol and rejoiced in the works of their own hands. Then Elohim turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven. As it is written in the book of the prophets, O you house of Yasharal, have you offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Yea, you took up the tabernacle of Moloch and the star of your god, Remphan, which you made to worship them, and will I carry you away away beyond Babylon. Our fathers had the tabernacle of witness in the wilderness as he had appointed, speaking unto Moshe, that he should take it according to the fashion that he had seen, which also our fathers that come after brought in with Yahushua into the possession of the Gentiles, whom Elohim drave out before the face of our fathers unto the days of Dawid.
All right, so verse 45, there's a problem right there. We talking about the time of Moses. Why does it say Jesus in verse 45? Which also came fathers that came after and brought in with Jesus into the possession of the Gentiles. We're talking about being brought into the land. That's Joshua. Why would they replace the name Joshua with Jesus? Why would they just take Joshua out the whole New Testament, the name Joshua? Because Joshua is the same as Yahushua. Same name. Two different people, one Yahushua, the son of Nun, and one Yahushua, the son of YAH. But see, they went on wholesale just removing things. When they saw Yahushua, that name, or Yahashua, they automatically put Jesus because they thought it was talking about Christ because they saw the same name. But they left it there. That's a clue for you to see what they changed. They can't put Joshua there because the original would have just showed that the original was Yahushua. So they put Jesus. Verse 46.
Who found favor before Elohim and desired to find a tabernacle for the Elohim of Yaakov. But Solomon built him a house. Howbeit the Most High dwells not in temples made with hands, as says the prophet. Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. What house will you build me, says Yahweh, or what is the place of my rest?
All right, so he says, howbeit the Most High dwells not in temples made with hands, as says the prophet. So the Most High, that's not where he dwells. My throne is, heaven is his throne, earth is his footstool. What house you gonna build me? That house, he already built his house. We the house, and we the temple. He's supposed to be dwelling in us. But if we the temple, we supposed to be following his house rules. Because he's the master of that house, not us. We the people that is the house. This is why he chastises us. Because we his house and we not following his house rules. Tamshi.
Verse 50. Has not my hand made all these things? You stiff-necked and uncircumcised and hardened ears, you do always resist the Holy Spirit. As your fathers did, so do you. Which of the prophets have not your fathers persecuted? And they have slain them which show before of the coming of the just one, of whom you have been now the betrayers and murderers, who have received the law by the disposition of angels and have not kept it. Verse 54.
All right, so he's talking to his own people, Israelites, or he's talking to Israelites. Verse 54.
When they heard these things, they were cut to the heart, and they gnashed on him with their teeth. But he, being full of the Holy Spirit, looked up steadfastly into heaven and saw the glory of Elohim and Yahushua standing on the right hand of Elohim, and said, Behold, I see the heavens opened, and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of Elohim. Then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears and ran upon him with one accord, and cast him out of the city and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at a young man's feet, whose name was Saul.
Interesting. So this brother did nothing, absolutely nothing, but tell the truth. Tell our history that was recorded in our books. Not even what his opinion was, literally what was written in our books. And what did they do? They stoned him to death. There's 2 churches. That's it. So the church of Laodicea, because this is the church period, by the way, they are going to destroy the truth. They're going to be mad at you when you tell them the truth. This is how you know what spirit you're dealing with. When you tell somebody the truth, they mad at you. There's people that don't disagree with you. I mean, there's people that don't agree with you. You tell them the truth, they don't agree. That's fine. But there's people that literally get mad when you tell the truth. That's how you know it's a spirit. Somebody could tell me a mathematical equation I don't even understand. I ain't gonna be mad at you. It could be right, it could be wrong. Guess what? I don't know. I'm not gonna be mad at you because you know how to do a quadratic equation and I don't. That's a different spirit. So check those spirits that when you bring them the truth, they get mad at you.
You know, if I could interject real quick, seeing what's going on here with Saul, and you know, we all know what Saul went on to become later. You know,
Right.
To me, it's also a lesson that we also shouldn't be so quick to judge the brothers that are being so critical and harsh towards, you know, what's going on with the whole Kanye and Kyrie thing, because you know, we know there's a lot of brothers that are coming out against him and speaking ill of him, but we should also extend some mercy towards them because we don't know their end either.
Right. Absolutely. Just like all the brothers that came against Kanye when he decided to repent. They didn't want to let the brother repent. They brought up all this dirty laundry. But guess what? He did it. He did this stuff. So you can't get mad. But at the end of the day, y'all still turn around and used him to you know, basically revamp this national look at who the children of Israel are. We've been doing it. But he woke up. Tomshi?
Acts chapter 7 and verse 59.
Okay, now we can stop right there.
Okay.
All right, so let's go to the conclusion. We're going to go to YAH chapter 12. And we're going to understand why we the hidden ones and why we can be called anti. So all these things is because we have been removed from our land. We've been plucked off the land. We have been lost. So YAH chapter 12. And verse 6 through 17 for the conclusion. So again, we were plucked off of our land for not following the house rules of that land. The Most High said we are supposed to be the holy people. We're supposed to be righteous, and we would stay in the land. The land will be blessed. The land would have its Sabbaths and rest and everything. We chose not to do that. So now we have to fight just for the land that we physically live in, which is our bodies. We can't even put up a sign that says we Israel without being attacked. So we had to fight for this. And this is by design. And this is all prophecy that we would return to this. So YAH chapter 12, we're going to read 6 through 17 for the conclusion.
All right, verse 6. For even your brethren in the house of your father, even they have dealt treacherously with you. Yea, they have called a multitude after you. Believe them not, though they speak fair words unto you.
All right, so they talking to Jeremiah. Jeremiah is considered the crying prophet because this brother was in so much tribulation. He was sent out as a little boy, a young man, had to go check elders, right? And Yah said, look, if you be afraid of their face when they make them mean faces and mean mugs, like, who are you, you little young child trying to bring these scripts to me about my transgression? And you don't do it with belief, and you let any of these people push you off your square, I'm going to confound you in front of everybody. And you put that on a child? That's what they did to Jeremiah. Now, Jeremiah is out here. Then Yah turned around and said, you're going to tell them the truth. They not going to hear you. People want to tell the truth because they want people to believe them. They want to be right. So if they feel like they can't be right, they don't even want to be in a conversation. But now you sending a servant out here and they telling you point blank, they not listening to you. They not going to hear a word you have to say. But if you don't do it, I'm going to confound you. That's what he did to Jeremiah. Now, these same people he's coming to, begging them to not be killed, are turning around and trying to kill him and doing the same thing that people do to you. They speak these fair words to you. Shalom, I love you. Hey, brother. Hey, sister. All that stuff. But they have crafty counsel how they can remove you from whatever work you have, whatever power, how they can defamate your character, how they can get around people and talk crap about you. Right in the Shabbat, right in the assembly. This is what they do to people when you tell the truth, and there's no way around it. You have to decide either you're going to tell the truth or not. But you can't get mad at people for bringing up your dirty laundry when it was your laundry. Kamshi?
Verse 7. I have forsaken my house. I have left my heritage. I have given the dearly beloved of my soul into the hand of her enemies. My heritage is unto me as a lion in the forest. It cries out against me. Therefore have I hated it. My heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Come you, assemble all the beasts of the field. Come to devour.
So it's like a speckled bird. It's a bird that got all different, characteristics, because he had been in captivity in all these different places and picked up characteristics of all these different people. That's why a Hebrew, a Semite coming up, it's like a coloring book of browns. No black, but browns. A whole bunch of color, different levels of brown, from bronze burnt in a furnace all the way to light bronze colors.
Verse 10. Many pastors have destroyed my vineyard. They have trodden down my portion underfoot. They have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness.
So many so-called pastors have come up here and tried to, teach you their doctrines and teach you stories that they hear and all this type of stuff. But destroying YAH's vineyard, destroying his harvest by putting out bad information. Some of it's intentional because like the brother said, they have made covenants. Other people out of ignorance. I did it out of ignorance. I taught things before in the past when I first came into an understanding that I found out maybe 2 years later it was completely wrong. Guess what? You got to humble yourself and you got to repent. Then you got to go fix that stuff by putting the right information out. Verse 11.
They have made it desolate, and being desolate, it mourns unto me. The whole land is made desolate, because no man lays it to heart. The spoilers are come upon all high places through the wilderness. For the sword of Yahweh shall devour from the one end of the land even to the other end of the land. No flesh shall have peace. They have sown wheat, but shall reap thorns. They have put themselves to pain, but shall not profit. And they shall be ashamed of your revenues because of the fierce anger of Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh against all my evil neighbors that touch the inheritance which I have caused my people Yasharal to inherit.
All right, so pay attention to who he's talking to in verse 14. All my evil neighbors. These are all those people that made that covenant, that confederation. We go back to Psalms 83 and read those nations. Those are all the nations that surrounded Israel. Made that covenant because them the ones that knew Israel. The Grecians and the Romans didn't learn about Israel till later. Read 14 again.
Okay. Thus says Yahweh against all my evil neighbors that touch the inheritance which I have caused my people Yasharal to inherit. Behold, I will pluck them out of their land and pluck out of the house of Yehuda from among them. Pluck out the house of Yehuda from among them. And it shall come to pass, after that I have plucked them out, I will return and have compassion on them and will bring them again.
We're in the middle of a class.
Every man to his heritage and every man to his land. And it shall come to pass, if they will diligently learn the ways of my people, to swear by my name, Yahweh lives, as they taught my people to swear by Baal, then shall they be built in the midst of my people.
All right, so all y'all people that came into YAH's land where he causes people to dwell and touched it, I removed the people out of there. I'm punishing my children. You can stay there if you follow, once I bring my children back, if you follow the statutes that I taught my children, the same way you taught my children to do all your pagan worship, then you can stay. But verse 17, but if you won't, go ahead, brother, finish it up.
Okay. But if they will not obey, I will utterly pluck and destroy that nation, says Yahweh.
So this is your warning. Either you obey the things that were taught to our people, the same way you pushed your crap on us, the same way you forced us to eat pork and forced us to worship your idols and do all those things. Use that same energy to try to learn the God of Israel and follow his laws, or you gonna be plucked up off the earth and he gonna destroy that nation. So even though you have turned yourself into a whole nationality now that belongs to us, for you to even be in existence, you're going to have to humble yourself to that law that you're trying to teach against. So in conclusion, the main thing we want to take here, let us understand these terms for Semitic, anti-Semitic. Yeah, we know the real definition of these things, but we need to understand the definitions that they're using in the court of law, that they're using in social media to control the views. And we have to understand that at the end of the day, we have to continue claiming who we are. We cannot deny his name. And we have to be willing to deal with whatever consequences come from that. And we tie that to our Bible study prior, which is saying, let Yah be your fear and your dread. So that's all we're going to do today. Do we have any last questions? Sis, did you have any questions? All right, let me check the YouTube if we see if we have any questions. All right, I don't see any questions, so that's all we're going to do today. So again, thank you for joining us. If you have gained anything from our teachings, definitely and would like to donate, you can either donate on YouTube directly on our site, or you can go to our website, saveyourwordofyah.org, hit the donate button, and you can donate securely. So that's all we're going to do today. Everybody enjoy this Shabbat. Be safe, and definitely continue to pray for Yah's will and pray for the brothers that are trying their best to stand up for this truth. Shabbat Shalom.